Hello, my name is Gimbalock. Today we're going to be doing this out of paper. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to draw a 3D car again. Now, the last time we did it, we did something like this. And these lines were straight. We're going to do something a little different with this one. Here's our car. These lines are not going to be straight. These lines are going to go out slightly. So this angle is going to flare out a little bit, and this is going to make our car from the front look kind of like this, where these things are slanted in a little bit. The trick is to make sure that these two lines are the same length. The trouble is, how do you know what angle to put this in things? This is actually easier than it looks, and I'm going to show you how that works here in a moment. So I have this silhouette of a Corvette looking thing, and I have a view of what the top would look like, and then I have a front view right here. So we'd have the steering wheel, here's our headlight covers, and we'd have a grille of some kind and a license plate, maybe the front, and the wheels would be about like that if we were doing 3D wheels. So the first thing we need to do is figure out how high this should be. Now this is too high, but because it's here slanted in, it's going to be a little bit longer. So we have a piece of paper, and we're going to lay it like that and make ourselves a couple of marks. So this is really going to be about that high. It's going to be a little higher. So what we will do is kind of draw another shape. Now this, the corners can be right there and right there, right where the lines are, to make that easier on ourselves. We have two parts here. This is the view from the side. This bigger one is the actual part that we'll be drawing, because this distance is the same as this distance here. Now we need to make our top. Here's our car. We only need to draw 1/2 of it because we're going to do a lot of tracing. So here's the center line, and it is that wide, and it is this long. So there's our roof, and then we need to make the front windshield right here. Now we're not sure exactly what it looks like yet. Now remember, we can't just go up like this, because this distance needs to be this distance, and it's at a slant. But it's going to slant out a little bit, and we don't know how. We look at our front view, and the hood is that wide. So between here and this line, this A-pillar is going to connect. And here's where it's easier than you think. We're going to take this line here. This is our A-pillar distance. And we're going to kind of hold it on one side and let that swing until it hits our hood line. Right there. So this is our hood. This line is the same distance as this line. It's the same thing with this back line. We're going to make a mark here and make a mark here. And then our trunk line is going to be right like that. We'll put this right here. We'll pivot it until it hits. It's almost right on that line. It's going to be a little bit bigger. And this is our rear windshield, one half of it. Now we need this back deck, which we will measure and put here. Now this line here is curved. You make a mark here, and you kind of hold it with the pencil so it can pivot, and you kind of walk it. There. This distance is this distance. If we curved it, it would be exactly right. So we're going to take this distance and put it right there. And we're going to go to our center line and do the same thing so that we can connect these two dots. And so the back of our Corvette, we'll put a couple of taillights in it. There's our back end. Now the front end goes exactly the same way. And we're going to measure this distance all the way down like that. So we're going to make a mark here. Now this distance is going to go right here. Now we're running into our front view here. We just have to remember which lines are which. Little arrow here. This line. And then our front end here. We're going to put right on the end of this line. All right, we have what we need to start tracing. Now notice these two don't connect. On the last one I said you had to make these connect, but since we've changed this one, we made this higher, it wouldn't connect anymore. It would kind of overlap it. So we're going to trace this whole thing on a new sheet of paper so it doesn't really matter. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to trace our car, and I'm going to use a pen so you can see a little better. And I'm going to rotate this so it's easier for my hand to get to it. I'm going to start out with this center line. I don't want a big line going through my car, so I'm just going to make a couple of dots that I can align it with. And then I'm going to start tracing. There's the roof of my car. Now I'm going to do this. I'm going to lay the paper on top of this side view that I did, and then I'm going to trace that. Remember, I want to line it with this upper line, not the lower line. So there's one half of the car. Now I'm going to flip this drawing over. This is why you have to have a light table. And now we've got our car. We need to make some details to it. And now we need tabs. Now, for this curved tab here, we cannot just put one big tab because a paper can only fold in a straight line. So to make this work, we need a bunch of little tabs. We need a bunch of tabs like this with a little V so it's easy to get scissors in and out of it. Plus, as these things bend, if we just had a straight cut, the cut would kind of overlap and that would be hard to build. So we definitely want a V cut in there. We can just make the cuts first. We do not have to be very precise about this because this is going to go inside the car and nobody's going to see it anyway. That's why I did not bother to trace the tabs on both sides. We can just draw them straight. Now our car is done. I'm not going to cut this one out. I'm going to scan this one in and then print it, and then I can print it and print it and print it and print it again. I've drawn this and then I scanned it in and made a copy and a copy. So now I can cut and put this thing together without ruining my original. And I can even go back and add some more detail and stuff once I like the way it is. I can put some stuff in the wheels and stuff. Now for this, I'm going to cut it out using an X-Acto knife. I like this better than scissors, but you have to have something like this under it, because this actually cuts through the paper and into whatever's underneath it. So if you've got a nice table, it will be ruined. But it's faster because I can just basically draw like this. Now, there's a trick to this. If I hold it like a pencil like this, it doesn't work. You have to kind of hold it like this, or like this really low, so that there's a very shallow angle. And it's easier to cut towards you because that's just the way it is. And curved lines are actually easier with scissors. But I can actually cut this out much quicker than I can with a pair of scissors. Now it's hard to cut on some angles, so we turn the paper so we can continue to cut towards us. Cutting with a knife also makes a lot fewer scraps. I just have one big piece like this. I don't have dozens of little tiny triangles all over the floor. So it is a little bit neater as well. Make sure we get everything cut. Hey, now we're going to pre-fold this just like we did on the other one. We don't want to start putting glue on it until we know how it fits. And we definitely don't want to put glue on it, then start folding and have it be all soggy by the time we're done. So then we take our glue and we start gluing. And here's the car. You'll notice these lines here kind of keep this from bending. And notice how our sides kind of slope in like this. As an extreme example, here's a DeLorean. You can see these sides slope inwards like this. Most cars have that. It's very, very apparent on this one. And we have done the same with this one, and we've measured it, and all of our lines line up, and that gives us our finished car. Well, thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please leave a like and consider subscribing.